Hello and welcome to Daytona, Florida, here on this Wednesday evening. Joining us for round one of Endurance for Amateurs is my co-host, Zach Purcell. How you doing tonight, Zach?
Doing good. I'm really excited for this race. We got a giant field and we got a bunch of drivers really excited for this season opener.
Yeah, this season opener in 2022, this is probably the biggest field that we've had, and almost one of the biggest fields we've ever had in E4A history.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive turnout so far. And you know, we have a little bit of a different format than we have had in previous seasons, but clearly drivers are still excited to participate.
They sure are, and I think this broadcast right here is really reeling some people back to the race.
Yeah, it's good to contribute to the league, and you know, I know a lot of significant others and friends, you know, like to watch their Pony Express drivers compete.
Yeah, and we'll do that. We'll do just that tonight. Back for E4A this season, actually. We have a new format, which is all GT3 cars, no more GTE, no more GT4, no more LMP2. That was short-lived. We just have the two subclasses, the GTD Pro and the GTD Am, with the exception of legend Dennis Diaz. Both classes are scored the same, but in separate categories. The Pro drivers are 2,000 I rating and above, and the GTD Am are never championship winners and 2,000 I rating and below. GTD Pro are also past champions. The one legend category we have is for Dennis Diaz, the 5-time Pony Express champion, and yeah, he will not be scored against anybody tonight.
Yeah, the two classes, the GTD and GTD Pro, they are, as far as the cars, identical. The drivers, it's all the same selection of cars. They have the same setups, same amount of fuel. So it's going to be just entirely the driver's pace, but they will be scored, you know, separately with their peers.
Exactly that. We're going to take a look over here at the overall standings. You'll see most of those red names, they're all pros. They're at the top of the leaderboard, showing just how far they're separated. Although one name sticks out, Keith Roycroft, who is a amateur driver, is up into P8 overall, leading his class. What do you make of that?
I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, obviously we have him in front of Dennis Diaz, and maybe Dennis would argue he's a little rusty, but in front of some other very fast drivers like Brad McCombs, Nicholas Paletti, and Bryce Anderson, guys who, you know, we think can definitely be challenging for a race win on any given week.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this, and of course this is Daytona, where drafting, overtaking, it's all so common. It's really a throw-up, a toss-up even, to who's going to win.
Yeah, it's you know, this open qualifying session means, you know, it's not something we've done very often in the past. So it means that drivers can work together in, you know, get some draft on, you know, what's the highest speed circuit on the calendar.
Yep, and let's see that top speed graphic. That's a fun one to look at. You'll see who's really making the most of the draft on their qualifying laps here. We'll see Ryan Tyler has one of the fastest speeds. Of course, Patrick Ripley has a top speed of 447 miles per hour. I'm not sure how he accomplished that there.
That sounds pretty impressive.
Along with Bryce Anderson. And, alright, I believe it's reset itself. That may be part of the towing feature. But we'll see. Everybody's in the 176, but some of the drivers that aren't as high up in qualifying time don't have as high speeds. Paletti has broken into the 180 mile per hour range.
Wow.
He's the first to do. Oh no, there's also James, Connor D. James.
I'm interested to know if that is the correct graphic on the Langenberg, getting third fastest with a top. Well, he just improved a little bit, but with a top speed that's clearly less than the drivers around him is pretty interesting. I mean, you spend so much time on this track at full throttle.
Yeah, and last night in the practice session with the same exact setup, we saw people hitting about 183 miles an hour. As we see Aaron Clayball hit 182 now.
And I will explain, a quirk of a fixed setup open qualifying is that you don't get to choose your fuel level when you start quals. So you start qualifying with the same amount of fuel you'll start the race with. So drivers can burn off their fuel through this entire qualifying session. So you'll probably see, the fastest times come in these last few minutes, as long as the drivers are putting in their best laps. But it is a cool dynamic. You see the times start to fall over the whole session.
Yeah, it's really about keeping it clean for the whole session. You can go in, you don't have to take tires. Or you can take tires, you don't have to take fuel. And we see Patrick Ripley puts it on pole with a 144.3.
That's a pretty good gap over Tyler. I mean, it's easy to have really tightly grouped times here. Again, so much time at full throttle. It's kind of hard to make up time in some places.
It is, especially when you're out on track alone. It's really key that these drivers get their good run following somebody. If they get a great run, a perfect lap even, it's still going to be slower than somebody who has the draft and maybe goes a little bit deep into some corner. As we see, that's the car of Curtis Kelly, I believe, going for a little joyride in the grass.
Yeah, really easy to overcook it and understeer in the West Horseshoe there.
That's the very rainbow car there of Paul Boyle, who
Not going to miss that one.
a newly joined member of Doge Squad Racing.
Yeah, I mean, they're as a team, they're going to be very competitive throughout the whole season. I mean, obviously Nicholas Paletti won in E4A last season. Aaron Claybaugh won in the season prior, and Paul Boyle's been there in contention the whole time, and he elected to join the pro class despite not having the championship yet.
Yeah, Paul Boyle really looking to come out from the shadows. That's where he's lurked for the past few seasons. He finished second in 04A last season, like Zach said. He projected that he would go over the 2,000 iRating mark sometime in this season of E4A, so he decided that he would join the pro card and get it over with now. And I think he really does have the potential to take the championship this year. He's got the
There's a lot of drivers. It's really up in the air.
Yeah, but he's one of the top names as he murders some cones, and as that looks like Paletti also murders the Panera Bread car there.
Teammate violence.
Yep, all three of those cars
6
there.
seconds to go in qual, so
all three of the cars there were all Doge Squad Racing cars. I believe
that's
with
the end.
open qualifying, however, it lets everybody finish their lap when the timer is up, as opposed to solo qualifying, where as the timer goes up, that's it, you're done.
Yeah, the session does say remaining time 2.5 minutes. So yeah, any drivers on their current lap have the ability to finish this out.
Let's grab the track map.
See, there's not a lot of greens, at least that we're seeing down there on the bottom of your graphics. Diaz has put in a purple sector 4, but he's fighting for first and only first for his class of legends.
Indeed, he puts in a second purple. That is going to bring him to 5th overall. First in his class, however.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the entire field, combining the two classes, there's only a second separating first and 19th. So that tells you all you need to know about how this race can go. It's really hard to actually pull away from somebody.
Yeah, we're gonna see battles all race long, and especially with such a big field, we are at 38 cars now.
36 with a qualifying time as well.
Yes, this is one of the largest fields that I've seen in the E4A, and I joined for Season 4. Season 4 is when I joined, and I think this is probably the biggest session that I've seen yet.
Yep, same. It's one of the top. I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary with Pony Express actually. So excited about that, and excited that the league is still going really strong, especially with our endurance series.
Speaking of the 1 year, the real life Pony Express lasted for about 18 months, or no, yes,
Yeah, about a year and a half.
year and a half. I had to do some quick math in my head there. This is Pony Express's 1 year and 6-month anniversary today. So,
Oh, it's on the day. Wow.
if Pony Express does not get disbanded after the race tonight, we will have officially outlived the real life Pony Express.
I think that makes our Pony Express better by proxy.
I think it was always better, honestly.
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, the Pony Express sim racing name obviously goes way back. Mark Dillon Jr., league owner, had it with NASCAR Racing 2003 league, but it started its iRacing sim racing league a year and a half ago.
Yeah. So here we see our grid has been set for the race tonight. Patrick Ripley takes pole, followed by Ryan Tyler, just 7/100ths behind. Tyler Langenberg about 2/10 behind, followed by Nicholas Paletti, Dennis Diaz, Terry Cowger Jr., Paul Boyle, Matthias Akrich, Paul Skip, the vice president of Pony Express, followed by amateur Keith Roycroft, followed by Brad McCombs, Bryce Anderson, hold on, Antoine DeCash, Aaron Claybaugh, Dustin Dos Valles, Connor D. James, Zach Nurnberger, Christopher Newby, Daniel Reel, Mark Dillon Jr., Stephen Thompson, Richard Curry, Sasha Kempter, Daniel Hingley, James Foreman, Don McCloy, Roger Shank, Christopher Craig, Steve Bartlett, Gareth McAllister, Marcus Osborne, Curtis Kelly, Daniel Barnett, Adam Dahl, Rob Neville, P.G. Christensen, Ryan Glover, and Will Borland.
You can take a break. You can take a breath now.
Yes, that is a big grid we have for tonight. Let's take a look at the race info here. That says week 0. It is week 1 of season 6 at Daytona International for E4A. Very exciting.
One of the longest tracks that'll be on the calendar. This race actually, because of its length and how much is on throttle, it actually is an 80% fuel cap for these cars rather than a 50%, which it will be for most of the other races.
Yes. And the fixed setups are actually the medium downforce as opposed to our usual high downforce because, you know, it's an oval pretty much. And the way to be faster on this track is to run almost no downforce at all.
Well, interestingly, the way to be faster on this course is clearly not to be in the real-life fastest car. The track record for GT3 at this track is held by the Ferrari GT3, and the highest place Ferrari in this field is 16th.
That is true. I was looking earlier. The iRacing world record around this track is set by the Audi with a
not surprising.
141.083. However, the Legacy Merc, not the new Merc, that's why I didn't include it. The Legacy Merc set a 140.7, which is almost 3/10 faster. Following the Audi, only 13/100ths of a or 13 thousandths of a second behind, is the McLaren.
And just to explain this start procedure here, the drivers are lining up in manual single file, and there will be a no pass rule until after International Horseshoe, which is turn 3.
Yes. That's just to keep our turn 1s clean on the start of a 100-minute race and to make sure nobody gets hurt.
We have the sword of green, but again, we're not looking for any passes until International Horseshoe.
See everybody filing through quite nicely right now. Not a lot of stuff going on because, again, they're not allowed to pass. Here we see turns 2 and 3. Or 2, I guess. And
all right. Racing's on now.
Now people can pass. We're going to see cars all over the track going at it. But nobody's going to want to be too aggressive as, you know, still 100 minutes to go. Why would you risk it all on lap 1?
I think Keith Roycroft's got to be happy with his position right now. He's got 4 pros between him and his next closest rival behind.
There he is in the BMW. Keith Roycroft in a great position to start this race, as somebody's going to go and try to take that spot from him in P7, and he's going to get it done, but he still has that 3-car buffer. And in the beginning of the race, everybody has a draft here, so the draft is not more powerful for one person than the other necessarily. It's kind of...
Couple drivers have fallen off in front, and that's going to hurt them.
It is for sure. There's Paul Boyle going behind the signs right now.
No one's really trying to make a move into the bus stop. Everyone's being pretty nice. There is a first lap incident rule. You'll get a penalty if you cause an incident in the first lap. So maybe in the second lap, we'll
Marcus
see
Osborne in that Ford right there says he crashed. What happened to him? Ooh, just
that's weird.
It. Got on the power a little too fast.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit spooked with the driver next to him.
Did he tow? That'd be uncharacteristic. But Marcus Osborne spinning. Unfortunate for him. He's now going to be in... Where did he filter out? He's now down in 31st, which is not how he wanted to start his race, I'm sure. Paul Boyle really making up some ground in the corner there.
Yeah, he's right on the back of Terry Cowger right now, who is on the back of, Poletti. So it's very tight.
Yeah, we're gonna see this whole race will be over 12 hours. So we'll see. It starts light now, and we're gonna be finishing under the lights. So as the track cools down and we get further into the race with less time to go, I think we're going to see a lot of moves happening compared to right now.
Yeah, it may seem like the drivers can't pass or something like that. A lot of times it's, you gain a benefit from being behind another driver and just fuel saving.
Yeah, that was a real big thing in the Daytona 24. Just sitting behind others, you can stretch out a whole extra lap, which is crucial for the strategy tonight.
The top 2 of Tyler and Ripley, which Tyler actually got around Ripley on the previous lap. Definitely tight. They've made a little bit of a gap on Dennis Diaz, who has made up position from where he started, and a bit of a gap back to Poletti then.
They have indeed. There we see Nicholas Poletti and Terry Cowger Jr. There's Ryan Tyler and Patrick Ripley. Patrick in that beautiful Audi with the 90s GTO livery on it.
Poletti playing nice with Terry Cowger Jr. Almost lost that spot to Tyler Langenberg by doing so.
Yeah, there's really a thing where you can't be too passive, because you don't want to be passed from behind, but you don't want to be over aggressive and do what Marcus did.
Bryce Anderson passing Paul Skip on the outside after International Horseshoe there. Had a much better run, both in the same car, but just had a better exit.
Yeah, he took it a little bit wider through turn 4, the International Horseshoe, and by the dog leg he was there and passed. Nice move from him. There we see Terry Cowger Jr. Poletti just lurking behind it.
It's a long race. It's there's no sense in crashing yourself out less than 5 minutes in.
That is very much for sure.
You have to wonder if Ryan Tyler's a little bit of a disadvantage. Potentially Ripley is happy just staying behind him, getting some draft. We know, as we said, that the Audi has the highest top speed. He's potentially just choosing not to go around him.
Yeah, I think that ties back to what we were saying earlier about fuel saving. Patrick Ripley, although he's one of the lowest I-rating drivers in this session, he knows his way around racing. I mean, he races in an LMP1 cockpit, a tub. So he knows racing. He's a real-life racing engineer. As we're saying that, he does go around him into turn 1. But Patrick Ripley, a very smart driver.
We've also seen some moves with Terry Cougar Jr. really catching up to Dennis Diaz. Actually, the front group is actually starting to pack a little bit closer.
Yeah, they are. They are kind of like, warming up, getting rid of the race start jitters, and they're starting to run a lot closer to each other now.
Yeah, looking back at the GTD field, Keith Roycroft still does hold the lead, but now Connor James has made his way. He's got Matthias Akrich between the two, but he's right on him, and it's Dustin Dos Valles was initially started in second in GTD, but he is now just behind Matthias, or Connor James. Excuse me.
Yeah. Here we see Christopher Craig trying to chase down Steve Bartlett. Not looking like he's making much ground on him, but now he's going to have that slipstream. And, ooh, look at Kelly's run on him. He's going to have him into the chicane if he wants it. Now the question is, does he want to make the move?
He's got the overspeed to do it. Looks like is he going to try to send it here?
Looks like he's going to go for it. Side by
he
side.
could-
There he goes.
Man.
Going
Wow.
for it. Makes the move nice and clean.
Yeah,
Gets
very
it
respectful.
done.
It started out, kind of passive, but then once he realized that Craig was giving him quite a lot of room, he decided to send it. That was a really good pass.
Yeah, now we're seeing... Here's Patrick Ripley back into second. Looks like Ryan passed him at some point.
Yeah, probably just on the straight. They're probably just doing some swapping. They could potentially even be working together right now. They are both on Team Pony Express, so they may want to work together a little bit.
Yeah, and as I was watching the practice session last night, they were both running right next to each other the whole time, really practicing. One would have a little moment, and they'd slow up, wait for each other, and really just practicing and bringing home the consistency next to each other.
We have some tight battles, but yeah, I mean, this similar to like Formula One as a DRS train, you get a little bit of a draft train here. A lot of times, your best chance is out of the bus stop. There's a lot of time to lose there, and it's going to end up going into your longest amount of on throttle. But yeah, we see that was definitely a purposeful position swap there. That for sure. That was definitely done for efficiency. So they're working together right now. They're happy to try to pull away from drivers behind.
Definitely a great idea. The further you two can pull away, the easier they have it. They can just kind of play with each other all race, and they have a huge gap behind if one of them does make a mistake. Benefits both of them.
And the driver behind is Dennis Diaz, who again not being counted for points, and so the actual driver in position behind is Terry Cougar Jr., who's now a good amount off from those guys. He's got a 2.5 second gap.
He does have that gap. Now, although Dennis is not being scored for points, he is there providing slipstream for Terry Cougar Jr., so I wonder how the drivers are going to feel about that, especially Patrick Ripley and Ryan Tyler. He is there. He doesn't get any points, but he's still there altering how the race is going to end.
Yeah, I'm sure that Terry's not unhappy with him being in front there. Interesting to see how much Dennis is going to try to actually race the other drivers, or if he's kind of going to let people go if they have a run. He's very competitive. I wouldn't expect him to just let people go.
Yeah, I think he'll race them. He's here to race. He's not here to just drive around and let people go. But here's the battle between Steve Bartlett and Kelly right now. Curtis Kelly. They're still going strong. There's Marcus. No, that's not Marcus Osborne. That is Dustin Dos Valles in that Ford right there.
Oh, someone off track there. Yeah, Dustin Dos Valles.
Or no, that is Gareth McAllister. My apologies. Dustin is in that Lamborghini you just saw off track.
Yeah, lost a lot of spots there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Was running pretty well.
Bryce Anderson also went off track. Let's see what happened to him. Ooh, just in the bus stop. Has a little spin in that SpongeBob car.
Oh, a little bit of a crunch to rear wing. Should be okay to keep going.
Taps the barrier. Doesn't look like he has much damage, but he has to sit there and
he
wait
has to
for
wait.
everybody to go through the bus stop.
Oh,
there we
Dustin
see him
Vice goes off in the bus stop.
just
That was a
barely
bigger
making
incident.
it through. Let's see Dustin's incident here. Bryce Anderson had to
Similar
sit
deal.
there for almost 20 seconds is how long he sat there.
Oh, that's a big hit.
Straight into the wall. He's going to immediately tow.
Immediate tow.
Very
That's a rough
unfortunate.
race for a guy starting in second for the GTD class, but we know he has pace.
Here's Steve Bartlett on Curtis Kelly going into turn 1. Kelly, who was behind before, now ahead. Who's going to make it out in front out of turn 1? Looks like Kelly. Steve Bartlett just barely backing off there. Looking to make sure.
Driver off right in front.
Oh, that's
Sasha Kempter.
Sasha Kempter there. Going off track.
Just some understeer. That's weird. That is weird.
Yeah.
That's a lot of understeer.
Looks like some sort of damage possibly. Maybe they tapped the wall?
Yeah, it almost looked purposeful.
Yeah. Interesting. Here we see Connor D. James, who is leading the GTD AM field now, as we see Keith Roycroft right behind. Let's see that pass. Maybe.
See, coming out of this bus stop, we may get the pass swapping positions again anyway.
That is very possible as well.
Oh, that's a much better exit for Roycroft. He has to pass Connor here.
But does he want it? The answer is yes. He's going to go side by side. Although that higher line, he may have the overspeed when he starts it. The higher line, you have to travel so much more distance. If I were him, I'd back off and slot back in.
We saw Langenberg in the BMW with the lowest top speed of those front runners, and that's what Keith Roycroft is in. Yeah, it just looks like it maybe just doesn't have the speed to compare to the Ferrari down that straight. He's got to get him in one of these turns.
Yeah, his downfall there. Now he's losing even more track position. Looking like Christopher Newby could even scoop up that second place. Keith pulling out to the high side there. Ooh, really did not help him out at all.
Nice send by Newby. Yeah, he just lost some momentum letting Matthias Ackrich by, who he's not fighting for position, but Matthias Ackrich then creates that buffer between him and Connor James.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. There's the move Christopher Newby put on there.
Very confident, kept it on the inside. Really clean pass.
Yeah. Just nothing Keith can do there. Not the greatest racecraft from him. He's generally a pretty decent driver, but a lapse in judgment by pulling out to the high side there.
Yeah, hard to make that decision. It's not fun to let off the throttle down the straight right behind someone you're trying to pass. So, you know, probably would have done the same, honestly.
Yeah, it's all about decisions in racing, and it happens, although there's still about an hour and 20 minutes, so I don't think Keith Roycroft is super concerned at this point.
Yeah, it's not over. And again, because this is Daytona has a really interesting pit entry, because I mean you just fly in there. There's no like, you know, slow pit lane or anything. So drivers who have practiced their pit stops can gain a ton of time on pit entry.
They can. That's one thing that Zach Nurnberger likes to specialize in. He practices those very religiously.
He is pit entry expert.
That's what we like to call him. He is sitting in P4 right now, right behind Keith Roycroft.
A little bit wide for Claybaugh. Touches in the grass, loses the position spot to Ackrich.
Yeah. Ooh, Paul Boyle, Brad McCombs. Big incident.
Oh, let's see this.
Paul Boyle just loses it. Brad McCombs drives straight into him.
Nothing Brad could do. Paul was just losing the rear end a little bit, got on the brakes, and yeah, nothing Brad could do.
Really unfortunate for both of them. Oh, and another one. Marcus Osborne. What happened to him? A little too hot to trot into turn 1, maybe. Oh, never mind. That is the... Did you catch the car number there? Yeah, the FAF car.
I didn't catch who it was. That's unfortunately not the turn you want to run into somebody, because that was Robert Neville. Not the turn you want to run into somebody, because there's There's just nowhere you can go. You're already coming in so fast. You're braking while turning. You really got no chance to avoid.
Very unfortunate. Bryce Anderson with a very damaged rear wing just plows through every single cone, and he's gonna tow it back to the pits.
That's more damage than we saw from that one. So that must be there must have been another incident that happened with him.
Very possible. Here is a nice look at Keith Roycroft.
Zachary Nurnberger has now thrown himself into contention for GTDs, currently on the podium in 3rd place in class, and he's pulling out to the side of Claybaugh, not that far away from Roycroft, to get to 2nd.
Yeah.
And he's going to send it. Oh, a lot of speed coming in. You don't want to fight with the between classes too much, but, I mean, obviously he can't get Keith if he doesn't get around Claybaugh.
Actually, it looks like Connor D. James is leading now.
He's going to send it. Yeah, Roycroft, last lap, had tried to make a move on James. Couldn't quite do it.
So, that actually puts Zach in a net P4.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, no, it was a newbie that Roycroft tried making a move on.
Here we see Brad McCombs is now out of the pits after his incident with Mr. Paul Boyle. We see somebody in the background going off track, but not a huge deal for him.
Up front for the race, we have Patrick and Ryan continuing to work together. Terry Cowger is the driver that is in 3rd place, but he's looking at Ryan Tyler quite far into the distance. It looks like him and Dennis Diaz switched positions this last lap. They could potentially be communicating with each other to try to catch up to that duo up there.
Yeah, here we see PG Christensen in that looks like the RSR livery in the Porsche GT3. Just too much into turn 1 on the exit, and it goes in the grass. Not a huge deal.
I believe
for
that
him,
was turn 3, International Horseshoe.
Oh, turn 3, my bad.
Oh, yep, Diaz and Terry, yep, they are working together. Oh, they're actually kind of fighting through turn 1 here.
That's not going to gain either of them any time. They're going to go side by side through 2 and 3.
Terry maintains position.
He does.
But all of a sudden, Langenberg is right there, and he was further back in the previous lap. So this has hurt, obviously Dennis not being scored for points, but this has hurt Terry a lot with that duo just continuing to work together flawlessly.
Yeah, and that was what I was talking about earlier. Will some drivers maybe be upset that Dennis is not being scored and he's just costing time or helping out rivals?
There's definitely drivers that are being helped more than others.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure. We'll take a look at the fastest lap of the race here in just a second, and I can give everybody some stats about that. Oh, before that, however, we're going to take a look at Brad McCombs. He crashed once more.
Going into turn 1, potentially too much speed.
Too much speed, he just loops it.
Just a little bit. Car's fine. He can get going.
Not much damage, though.
Did he tow?
Oh, he did tow. I think he may be calling it a night after that one.
Interesting.
Just a damage to his ego.
No, he is driving. There must have been some sort of glitch.
He must have been
blinked.
blinking.
He does have issues with his internet, so.
Very true.
Yeah, he is still in the race.
So we'll take a look at the fastest lap of the race here. It is held by Terry Cowger Jr., a 144.7. Now, the fastest race lap in E4A history was set by Carl Handwerk in Season 1 of 2022. That was a 143.6, where he finished P4 overall, if that gives you any idea of how fast he was in that race. Carl Handwerk has the race lap record, followed by Paul Boyle, who has a 44.3.
That is a pass from Nurnberger on Roycroft. That is for 3rd in class now. Roycroft falling back just a couple of positions. He started the race on GTD pole. He's still competing, but another really good send into the International Horseshoe that we see there.
Yeah, that's pretty much a carbon copy of how the last person got past Keith.
Newbie, yeah.
Yeah, if I was Keith, I would say, all right, I gotta defend that more now. Yeah, that seems to be the way to make it work.
Ahead. that is Matthias Ackrich spinning right onto NASCAR 1. He had to wait for at least like 5 or 6 drivers to go by there.
Very unfortunate for him. That's going to cost him time. Now we see out in front now Ryan Tyler leads the race once more with a 5/10 gap back to Patrick Ripley. Here we see Keith Royce. Go ahead.
The lead changes number will be a little bit deceiving for this race because, like I said, it is clear that they're working together, swapping almost every lap.
They are, and James, the leader of the GTD class,
Antoine DeCache has a run on Paletti back there for 7th and 6th in class into turn 1. Doesn't quite have it, but let's look and see if he's able to do anything at International Horseshoe.
Connor James, however, not to take away from this wonderful battle ahead of us, has a faster lap. Oh, never mind. Since I last was going to say that, Dennis Diaz has upped his lap time. Mr. Connor James almost, for a while, had a faster lap than Dennis Diaz, the legend. So that really shows the pace of Connor James tonight. He's only...
I do believe that Connor James is a new driver to the league as well. At least I don't recognize the name.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. He is a 1500 iRating driver, so he's definitely an amateur.
Positive showing for GTD. I mean, you know, we knew some of the drivers that we thought would compete for the championship in that class. Obviously, number 2, Christopher Newby right now was certainly one of them, but a name out of nowhere, Connor James.
Hold on, Zach. Let's take a look at Richard Curry and Aaron Claybaugh. Seems like they had some issues. Looks like Richard may spin. Yep, and Claybaugh is just going to collect him. It's not a huge contact for Claybaugh, but it's just enough. Oh!
Oh, that was much bigger right there.
That looks like... Was that Matthias Ackrich?
I believe it was.
Unfortunate.
So unfortunately, yeah, that's between Curry is not in either of their classes. So Claybaugh and Ackrich just kind of getting caught up and
here we see Steve Bartlett looking for the pass. He's going to back out, however. Sorry for cutting you off there.
Oh, no problem. It's a tight battle. That's a little bit further back in the field. Doesn't have a good exit out of the stop though, and now Daniel Barnett is going to be able to pounce on that.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. Either he should have taken that and just gone too wide through the bus stop, or you know, really backed out early to make sure he got his exit. But now
it's pretty scary to go too wide in the bus stop.
It is. I will give you that. It's a brave man's game there.
You have to really trust the driver that you're next to.
Yes.
He's going to really hug the inside here to try to keep that spot. It looks like he will if he's able to seal it off here in turn 2.
Yep. But going into the International Horseshoe, does Steve have the speed to make a move? Maybe a late braking? No, he does not.
And Daniel knows to hold the inside there.
Yeah, we've seen the likes of Keith Roycroft lose a position because of that. Just somebody going down the inside.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to go on the outside there. So, I mean, it's obviously slower on the inside, but, you know, if you're trying to defend, that's what you have to do.
It is. Here we see Keith Roycroft. Got the slipstream on Zach Nurnberger, looking to make a move into the bus stop chicane. He goes to the high line once again. That did not work for him last time. However,
BMW just seems to struggle in top speed. It's making it really hard on these drivers to actually try to get past somebody. I mean, maybe as you know, on the lap time they're able to do all right, but you got to be able to pass, and the easiest place to do it here is the straight, and they're not able to do it on the straight.
Yeah, we saw that at Zandvoort. The BMW, it was really, really good in the corners. It could make up that time, but you can't pass in the corners there, and the straight is where you really need that time going into turn 1. And Stephen Thompson couldn't make it work on the likes of Patrick Ripley in that race.
That's got to be frustrating. I know his how that feels in the cockpit when, you know, you're faster in all the wrong places. So it necessitates a really brave move if you can't get it done on the straight.
Here we see Daniel Barnett on Steve Bartlett. And he's going to get the move done.
Yeah, Daniel gave him a ton of room.
Yeah.
He could have tracked out a little bit more than that, I think.
So we saw just one lap ago, these two cars were inverted for position.
It looks like, yeah, fastest lap still held by Terry Cowger, followed by Patrick Ripley, and then Dennis Diaz, if I'm not mistaken.
I would say so. Just look for Christopher Newby, who is only...
a spun car, PG Christensen, spun there in West Horseshoe. Looks like didn't collect anybody.
No, but he sat there for 37 seconds before rejoining the track.
That's a rough loss there.
Dennis Diaz passing Terry Cowger for P1, it says. I'm not sure what that was. Oh, it's blinking. That was what's causing that.
We've had some, some incidents, but we still have 31 drivers on the lead lap right now.
That is a big number for E4A, especially.
I mean, to go even further, we got 6 drivers within 8 seconds of the leader, Ryan Tyler. I mean, they've certainly... Oh,
Gareth McAllister on looks like Richard Curry.
Not for class, but he wants to get by for sure, to get up to Roger Shank.
Yeah, he's chasing him down. Not going to be able to make it move despite having a tire just ahead.
He's a brave user of that Ford. Not an easy car to drive. Kind of using it almost to try to get the pride, but it and the Audi are the toughest cars to handle. But the Audi is typically faster than the Ford is.
Yeah, it's kind of like a professional setup. You really got to be able to drive it on the limit to make it fast. Otherwise, it's just unsafe and slow. But he's making it work here tonight, along with Marcus Osborne. However, he's no longer on the lead lap after his
Marcus
spin.
has actually left the session, yeah.
Well, Marcus gave up our GT4 champion from last season. He called it a night early, unfortunately.
We'll see if he's still in that Ford next week. We'll see if he sticks with it or not.
Yeah, Dennis Diaz going really high, possibly to purposely let Tyler Langenberg through. As we see, he's now behind Terry Cowger Jr. and Tyler Langenberg.
That battle for the GTD first place right now is just 2/10, as Newby actually has the overspeed on James in that BMW. He's going to go out to the side. We might see 2 wide here into turn 1.
Here they go.
How much room is James going to give him?
Connor in that Ferrari. Connor D. James.
Oh, and man.
Christopher Newby just
he's coming back at him.
Oh, what a battle.
Oh.
Rubbing through the corner.
The slightest of contact. It's not over, though, but...
Still side by
Newby
side. Here's the view from Connor's car. Newby just makes it work on the inside of the International Horseshoe.
Wow. That was a great pass by Newby. We know that BMW's been rough on speed. Really good pass and defending through those next 2 turns.
Yeah, that was some wonderful racing. Just kind of a display of
and
what you'll see.
Roycroft's right there. With their battling, Roycroft is now caught up right there. That's the top 3 for GTD. Absolutely nothing separating the 3.
That makes me wonder what happened to Zach Nurnberger. It looks like he entered the pits. That's an interesting strategy from him. Looks like a 24-second stop.
Yeah, it is 32 minutes into a 100-minute race, so he's probably trying to almost evenly split the 3 stints that you'll have to do.
I suppose we will see everybody pit now, because remember, we only have never mind, it's an 80% fuel tank.
80%, yep.
With a 50% fuel tank, now would be about the first pit stop time. So it will be a 2-stop, however, and we're gonna see.
Yeah, we'll be looking more around the 50-minute mark when but a little bit shorter than that. 50-minute mark when a driver has to.
Yes. Keith Roycroft in the straight. Without that slipstream, he's falling off the tiniest bit.
Side by side again. This time James has the overspeed. He's in front of Newby going into the corner on the outside, though. You have to be brave and be careful. Oh, wow, he's really got that.
Yeah, Newby left him the room. He said, I don't want to waste time battling. I see Keith in the background. And so
Yeah, he lost a lot of time there.
he let him by, and hopefully Keith can catch up and take back that lead that he started the race with.
Yeah, Roycroft and Newbie in the same car there. I really feel like Newbie should have been more aggressive there. He definitely could have been more aggressive, and they certainly were aggressive in the previous lap in turn 1. So again, we are only 35 minutes to a 100-minute race. There's still a lot of self-preservation on the minds of these drivers.
That is for sure. He's thinking, I'll let him go, but I'll get you on the last lap. We see the battle box here. All three drivers within about 9/10 of each other.
Yeah, very impressive showing for the GTD Am. I mean, maybe they get labeled as amateurs, but they certainly can race each other like pros.
Daniel Hingley. That's Adam Dahl. Daniel Hingley had a crash, it says. Let's see what happened to him in that teal aqua, I don't even know what color. Just a little spin for him in the Mercedes there, doing some donuts.
It's a British racing green, Aston Martin green.
All right. Nicholas.
Yeah, luckily no damage.
There we see a little action going into turn 1 by Christopher Newby, Connor James, and Keith Roycroft again, stalking them in the back.
Inside's better line to be here.
You want that inside line. Christopher Newby has it, and he's going to keep that spot right there.
While that's happening, we are seeing some battling between Terry Cowger Jr. and Tyler Langenberg. And more importantly, they have, despite battling each other, Langenberg has got around Cowger. They're way closer to Tyler and Ripley than they were prior.
They are indeed. Now only a second, two seconds even back from the leader of Patrick Ripley. It was almost 3 or 4 seconds earlier, so they're definitely catching up now. Dennis Diaz is kind of out of the equation right now. Zach Nurnberger has a moment, an accident. Let's see what happened to him. Looks like going into turn 1, he's just going to carry a little bit too much speed and loop it. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not on the brakes enough. Way too much speed for him. And that's gonna
seemed like he didn't start out real wide on the turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but unfortunately for him.
Previous time across the line, Langenberg and Cowger Jr. were separated by 1/1000th of a second.
That is a pretty small gap, I'd say. We can take a look at the gap between these guys now, between Tyler Langenberg and Ryan Tyler. It is definitely coming down. It was almost 4 seconds, and now it is just 1.5 seconds. So they are catching. Tyler Langenberg and Terry Cowger Jr. working together to catch back up to these two that have run away.
Yeah, interested to see that they've caught up. It seemed like so much that Ripley and Tyler were going to just start flying away from the pack, but starting to lag a little bit, actually.
Yeah, here we see Mark Dillon Jr. and Aaron Claybaugh. Dillon Jr. is slowly losing him after Claybaugh passed him.
Yeah, we haven't really mentioned Mark yet. He is currently 4th in class. We don't, Zach Nurnberger was 3rd in class, but then after that spin, Mark may be the one who's in that net podium.
Yeah.
Or net 4th. I apologize.
Yeah, your timing screen must be off a little bit. It's all good, though. Here we see Mark Dillon Jr. only 0.2 back now. These two are not in the same class, so will Mark try to overtake him for that track position, or is he just going to sit behind and reap the benefits of staying behind? We're going to see in about half a second here. He's going to back off.
He does not want to get around here.
And he's going to keep that little thing he has. Christopher Craig and Daniel Barnett. What has happened to them? We see Daniel in that Ferrari behind the Mercedes. Just gets on the grass.
Oh,
Daniel
that was an early
Barnett
spin.
can't. Ooh. Looks like Christopher Craig came off the brakes and just plowed straight
Yeah.
into him.
He should have stayed on the brakes there. Barnett was and Barnett off again in the bus stop. He's just riding through the grass. That's a beat up Ferrari right there.
Yeah, that's super unfortunate for him. He's blinking. But now we're seeing some action in the pit lane, however. People coming in for their stops. We're going to take a look at the pit strategy.
Yeah, I guess none of the leaders at least have gone in for their pits.
Let's see here. All right. Well, we'll take a look back at that once everybody is pit. And we'll see where each person has pit and where they haven't.
Yeah, it's going to be... Oh, is that Keith Roycroft? Okay, so Keith Roycroft pit.
Yes.
That's important, and that's obviously a front runner for the GTD class. So maybe he felt that he just needed some clean air, because this is certainly before you need to pit. So that was certainly a tactical decision to pit when he did.
Yes, indeed. Dennis Diaz now with a 144.6 on the board. That's still not the fastest lap. However, all of the fastest laps have improved. Mark Dillon now with the fastest lap in GTD AM. 144.699. Terry Cowger Jr. leading GTD Pro in lap times with a 144.3, and Dennis Diaz being his own class.
Yep, as the fuel's going down, these despite the fact that they're on the same set of tires, these drivers are putting in faster and faster times.
Yeah, we are really seeing some impressive stuff.
Yeah, unlikely that it's almost a guarantee that these drivers will not change tires for this race. You just lose so much time doing it that it's probably not worth it for only 100 minutes.
Especially with Daytona, where the majority of it is flat out, and it's not a super tire-intensive track. I mean, don't get me wrong, you do need the good tires on the car, but it's not the biggest thing you're worried about here.
Yeah, a lot of the lap time really just comes from bravery in turn 1 and the bus stop. You have to take so much speed into those, and a lot of times that's not based on your tires.
No, it's just based on your ability to drive that car around and brake late.
We've seen a really clean race so far, though. I mean, as far as like cars battling each other, we haven't seen much more than just some light little taps. Some unfortunate collisions from spins, but everyone's driving each other really fairly.
Yeah, out in front now, Ryan Tyler, Patrick Ripley, Tyler Langenberg, and Terry Cowger Jr. all not too far from each other anymore. They are definitely starting to bunch back up as Langenberg leads Cowger to some extra speed. So
Paul Skip's on a little bit of an island by himself too. You can see there he's about 6 seconds off the guy in front of him, but then 8 seconds off the guy behind him. So a little bit of a lonely race.
Yeah, he's built himself a nice safety net if he has a big lockup or something, which is wonderful for him. Connor D. James and Christopher Newby crashed.
Oh man!
Oh, what's happened here?
Into turn 1.
Racing each other a little too hard, maybe. Oh, too hard on the brakes for Newbie, and Connor just goes straight into him. Looks like they're both going to make it away alive, but that's going to cost them a lot. Keith Roycroft isn't passing them because he pit earlier, but once they pit, he's going to be out in front.
You would certainly expect that to be the case. Yeah, that's just an unfortunate incident. I don't think that Connor expected Christopher to brake as much as he did. He did kind of come across. I think it's a racing incident more than anything. And luckily, as you said, there's really not too much damage to either car.
Yeah, I don't think it's you can put the blame on one person themselves. It's kind of you know, he should have slowed down more, but he should have slowed down less. You know, can't blame either one of them.
This battle here is not for class. This is Zachary Nurnberger, who we've already seen pit for GTD. I don't know if Akrich has pit yet, but he is in the pro class. We have seen a couple incidents that he's been involved in. So he may have pit already to repair some damage.
There we see Paul Skip getting passed for P9, however. I think that's just more blinking.
Yeah, he's still in the same position he was.
Daniel Reel plowing through a few cones and giving us a little spin.
That's a good save, though. He could have turned all the way around. He saved himself a lot of time doing that, getting onto that access road as well.
Yeah, good driving from him. PG Christensen has an off track, and he's not back on track just yet, so I'm interested to see what happened to him. He's blinking.
Oh, it's the West Horseshoe again, and again had to just kind of sit still for an age. He looks exactly the same as
Keith
the previous
Roycroft, however, into the wall, maybe.
Oh wow, let's see.
This is the bus stop.
Oh, that car is destroyed.
He just loops it around straight into the wall. Oh, so unfortunate for him, as he was going to be a net P1 at the end of this fuel stint.
Yeah, certainly looked like that was going to be a class lead, and that has to be an immediate pit. That thing is not drivable.
Awfully disappointing for him. He's going to get that meatball, like you said. But they do have a fast repair. So,
they have two, actually.
Yeah, they have 2 fast repairs. So he can drive in there, get a fast repair. It's going to cost him some time, but he's not out of this race in any way at all.
Yeah, with the field spread, I don't think he's going to end up being that far back. But it doesn't feel good to be pitting right now.
No, it doesn't.
Because we're at the 45-minute mark, and that means that he still will have to pit one more time. He can't use this as like his second scheduled pit.
Yep. And we see Christopher Newby and Connor D. James, those two collided earlier, is being split by Mr. Stephen Thompson there. Paletti is now leading the GTD field.
Oh, Newby's pitting now.
Newby into the pits.
He didn't want to have to deal with that battle there. He decided to just pit.
Newby into the pits along with Ryan Tyler, Tyler Langenberg, Dennis Diaz, Terry Calgar Jr., Paul Skip, Antoine DeCash, Christopher Newby, Mark Dillon Jr., Aaron Clayball, Roger Shank, Gareth McAllister. They're all into the pits this lap. That was a long list there. But
yeah.
Look at them. They're all jumping out. A lot of activity, as I'm sure.
Fight on the exit. Look at that. Cars next to each other.
I'm sure the fuel stints here are.
Harry just lost a spot to Dennis Diaz in the pit exit there, just getting out of their boxes.
Yeah, it's insane. Paletti, obviously, sitting in the back, got that extra lap. And he didn't have to be in that little pit lane fight they saw, so.
Collision. Terry Calgar. Dennis Diaz also involved. Ryan Tyler in the back of Langenberg.
Oh, they're not going to be happy about that.
It's just a spin from Daniel Real and was just in a bad spot.
Oh, he's got some crooked steering. You can see him wobbling a little bit there.
And he just pit too. That's going to be another one. He's going to be pitting this lap.
So unfortunate for them.
Wow. But Tyler Langenberg is in front of Ryan Tyler. There was a little bit of collision. We got distracted a little bit from that other incident, but there was something that happened between them two, and now the positions have swapped.
Yeah, here's Paletti going into the pits, the race leader. Stephen Thompson is going to take over in GTD Pro for the lead. Oh, never mind. He's into the pits, I believe. Daniel Real, once again, having some sort of issue, just driving off the track.
Oh, Paletti missed his box on the pit in. That's a little bit of lost time right there. He went a little bit past his box.
Yeah, there's Stephen Thompson going in. Looks like he hit his marks wonderfully.
So obviously, 44 minutes into the race, they definitely will have to do a 2-pit.
They definitely will. That'll be about 90 minutes, and they'll have 10 minutes to go after they pit again. Dennis Diaz just having a little bit of a fight here with Brad McCombs as Dennis pits once more.
And Antoine DeCash just gets slingshotted towards Brad McCombs, but just doesn't quite have the ability to get close enough. Certainly has some momentum on Brad, though. Again, this is for position in class.
Now, I wonder why Dennis Diaz just pit again. He followed everybody in.
I can see in the notes there that he had a black flag cleared. He potentially had a speeding in the pits or some sort of infraction on the pit stop, and it looks like it was supposed to be cleared, but maybe that didn't work, and he had to pit to serve a penalty.
Could have possibly been in like an unsafe pit exit.
There was racing off the exit, so potentially.
Let's see if he stopped in his box at all. It could have been just a straight drive-through here. No, he was in his box. May have been just a stop and go.
Looks like Terry, I don't know if that was on purpose, but on that pit that he made for damage, he decided to take tires. That may have been an accident. It's really easy to leave that option on when you're just so distracted by the incident you just had.
Yeah, an unexpected pit. Unless you have your INI file and iRacing set up to automatically turn off tires, it's so easy to drive into your pit box and be like, oh no, I have just taken tires. And you really can't stop it once you start. I mean, you can take only that one tire, but then you got one tire that's new and, you know, supercars. Zach Nurnberger is the pro of that. PG Christensen just getting a little too hot on corner, I guess that's entry and exit at the same time for NASCAR 1 coming out of turn 7.
Keeping that throttle on for sure.
Yes, sir. There's Patrick Ripley, our effective race leader, coming up to lap that wonderful car right there, which is car number, I can't even tell.
Oh, and you know what? One thing we need to mention now that we've gone through that pit cycle, Zachary Nurnberger is in the GTD lead. I didn't catch that initially, but Newbie is a half a second behind him, despite that spin that Nurnberger had because of the collision that Newbie and Connor James had, and then the crash that Keith Roycroft had. He's all of a sudden in first for class.
Yeah, it's working out wonderfully for him. Up ahead, that looks like... no, they're actually going to be a lap down. That looks like Daniel Barnett going side by side with somebody. There we see him.
It's a little
right
interesting. I wonder if Newbie doesn't know that he has some minor damage on the rear of the car, because he did not elect to get repairs done. Maybe he thinks he needs them for later.
Here's Newbie's last time, actually almost a few tenths faster than Zach. So I'm sure it's not the repairs that are really costing him that time right now. It's interesting. There goes Connor James.
Oh, what is going on there?
Looks like Newbie's going to make a pit entrance.
Yeah, what's happening there? He didn't need to let off like that. That is weird.
Interesting. Is he going to go into the pits? You'd assume after... No.
Wow, what? I don't know what happened there. Something happened. He completely like let off. He's fighting back now. Maybe an issue with his equipment? I don't know.
Yeah, some sort of pedal issue. I'm not sure. Here's Gareth McAllister trying to catch Roger Schenck. We saw them earlier. The gap was much bigger, but now there's no gap at all. Gareth McAllister side by side with Roger Schenck going into turn 1.
They are next to each other.
They've got that outside line for Gareth, but it's not going to be able to pull it off. Can he look to take the inside for the International Horseshoe? Surely he's too far
doesn't
back.
have the speed.
Ooh, but he does make up a lot of time under braking a lot later than Roger.
That's the great thing about turn 1 is that you can make a move on the inside or the outside. Both ways are possible. And this time, Roger did it on the inside.
He made it stick. Here's Christopher Newby, Stephen Thompson as well. Let's take a look here at our overall and see where everybody is kind of sorting themselves out.
The pros are doing what the pros are supposed to do. I mean, they're making up all of the top 9 spots. So it's good to see that we have the drivers, you know, accurately separated.
Represented. Yeah, it's not like we have a complete alien in the GTD AM class. However, there are some pros that I'd like to see do a little bit better. Of course, it's not really up to them, judging by incidents that they've had. One name comes to mind, Mr. Terry Calger Jr. in the Porsche there. He's down in 23rd after having a little collision on his outlap. Very unfortunate for him.
Came at a bad time for him too. It would have been much easier on his race if he'd been able to do it where then he could make it to the end of the race on that pit, but that really kills the momentum for him.
Looks like Zachary Nuremberger.
Richard Curry into the wall there in turn 1. Not huge damage. No one else was involved in that.
Unfortunate for
a little
him.
bit of a spin.
We can take a look at that. I was just trying to focus on Zach Nuremberger. Looks like Connor James was just about side by side with him going into the International Horseshoe. We didn't catch it, but
really, because James has Barnett between him and Nuremberger. Maybe there was a mistake that James made.
Interesting. Take a look at it right now, actually, as there's not a lot going on. No, this isn't it. It's possible that it was, again, just a blinking internet issue thing. It seems to happen a good amount here. Now the gap behind Zach is 1.5 seconds, so that's likely what it was.
Yep, Newbie's got to get around Barnett here. Got a little bit inconvenienced there on the exit of the bus stop. And now he's got the problem of a driver right behind him as well, which is Stephen Thompson, actually. So Daniel Barnett there is not on the same lap as Newbie, and Newbie's not in the same class as Stephen Thompson. So these are 3 drivers not competing with each other at all, just trying to make it as easy on each other as possible.
Yeah, they're going to have to balance. Like, you don't want to make somebody else mad at you, especially at Daytona, because they will just be able to stick right next to you and cause you trouble into every turn.
And especially if they're not in the same class as you, or at least like on the same lap, you know, battling. And it just seems silly.
Yes, indeed. Roger Schenk, Gareth McAllister into turn 1 again. Gareth McAllister on the outside, making it work. Will he be able to hold on to it, however?
Dips into the grass, but oh man, he's
got
on
that
the
inside. The inside to the International Horseshoe makes it work. Now can
Racks
he
out,
keep it?
but Schenk on the switchback.
Roger Schenk with the switchback doesn't have the speed though.
Sealed off by McAllister. Getting into the grass again, man. He's scaring me a little bit.
Tyler Langenberg and Patrick Ripley have switched spots.
Sending
once
it.
more.
Schenk sending it on McAllister into West Horseshoe. Oh man, they are battling through this entire lap here. Almost touch. McAllister with a little wiggle. They're going to be going side by side through this turn on a NASCAR 1.
What
but
a battle.
Schenk is on the outside.
Shank's going to have that speed at the end. He just needs to tuck behind and get in that slipstream.
He should probably be pinching McAllister just a little bit more.
That high line again.
Benefit him to do so.
It's not working out.
He's got a little bit, yeah, he's got that extra speed right now. Again, they're going to have to go side by side through here unless one of them gives up.
Gareth McAllister
McAllister
just backing out a little bit more. He's going to get a great exit now that he's slowed. Look at him coming back.
He hit that second curb a little bit too hard. He actually got the rear wheels off the ground, but he's obviously going to have this draft.
And we see the gyro cam as well.
And that is banked.
Showing just how steep Daytona International Speedway actually is. Wow.
Yeah, it's 31 degrees in the banking.
That is a lot.
Standing on the outside. This is going to be, again, side by side into turn 1. Entire lap of battling here.
And as we see the front of those cars, we notice the headlights becoming ever more clear as we see the background. It is turning to nighttime.
It's going to be a really pretty finish.
Gonna see the
Wow, these drivers.
These two are providing wonderful entertainment right now. We're gonna stick with them for a little bit longer here.
Wow, we've been kind of ignoring the front of the field, and I just wanted to mention that Ripley has 5 seconds on Tyler Langenberg. I don't know where that came from. That top group was so close. Now a 5-second gap from first to second.
That is a lot.
5.5 at the line there, so it actually grew in that last lap as well.
Wow. I'm not sure where that came from. I don't see any major events happening here.
Must just be gapping slowly through each lap. Although that was half a second on that last lap, so I guess not so slowly.
Yeah. Christopher Newby as well has about the same distance to Connor James as we see here between Gareth McAllister and Roger Schenk.
Yeah, they're right next to each other, about to go into International Horseshoe with Zachary Nurnberger immediately right in front of them. That again, we got those podium positions for GTD all next to each other.
Not much happening anymore. Let's check back to Gareth McAllister quick, going into turn 1. He's really sending
these guys
it
are gonna
in.
fight every lap.
Gareth
likes
goes a
the
little
outside.
wide there. Gareth definitely does prefer the outside, though. He's going to go for the outside end of the International Horseshoe, but as we've seen, that's not the way to go here. We haven't seen that work just yet.
Great corner exit by Schenk there. Car just really gripped.
Yeah. Really taking care of that throttle. Not going to be
Holding the inside. Yeah.
Not going to make anything. Oh, Gareth McAllister has a little look at it, though.
Schenk took that really slowly to try to defend the inside there and kind of park it a little bit.
That is a strategy that I love. You just really slow on corner exit. As
long as you don't get hit.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't get hit, but you park the bus, and helps a little bit there. Now we see the gyro cam going into the bus stop. You're not going to be able to see a cool view because they're side by side.
Schenk is not giving up yet. Now he is.
Just about 4 laps ago, we saw the identical thing. However,
oh man,
Gareth was the one that backed out. This time, it's Roger Schenk.
Really lost momentum. If he had backed out a little bit earlier, he could have tried to, capitalize on the exit of that, but he tried to fight it a little bit too long, and now look at that gap that they got between them.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. There, side by side, still is Richard Curry.
Top 3 for GTD is even closer. James and Newby are still fighting each other, but they're even closer to Nurnberger. And then Mark Dillon Jr., there in 4th, is really not so far back either. He's only 3 seconds back from Newby, and he just needs maybe a little bit more battling in front of him to then make it a 4-way fight for first place.
Yeah, it's still anybody's race here an hour in. We are past that halfway point, way past it actually. Really looking for any big crashes from the leaders. That's really going to be deciding who's on the podium or who's in the top 5 even and who's not.
Ryan Tyler has some overspeed on the Langenberg into turn 1 here. He's going to stick behind him for now, but I mean this is the battle that can go on across this next lap. Only separated by 0.3 right now.
Yes, indeed. I had to yawn there.
Brad McCombs into the pits as well.
Yeah, Ryan Tyler and Tyler Langenberg, the 2 Tylers. Although,
and again, Ryan Tyler was leading the race for a good portion, and he's trying to fight back. Now, luckily, Langenberg has not fallen back any further from Ripley. Still that 5.5 second gap, but that first place that looked so in touch for Ryan Tyler, he's got a lot of ground to make up now.
Yeah, this is what the gap looks like from Langenberg to Tyler. It was about a second and a half, not just 3 laps ago. And now it's so much closer.
Interested to see if he wants to do it. The Mercedes clearly has higher top speed than the BMW, so he absolutely can. I mean, he's going to be ahead coming into this.
There we go, side by side. He's ahead. Langenberg backs out.
Bravely sends it through. Nice and clean. That was a really good exit, too, by Tyler.
Yeah, gets it done nicely.
Langenberg. Sorry, they're both Tyler, I guess. Ryan and Tyler had a great exit.
There goes Richard Curry off track right next to Roger Shank.
Oh,
I'm sure he's happy
oh
that he
man.
didn't hit it. Richard Curry again has another crash.
Wow. Really
Uh,
probably should have let off the gas there. That was a big collision.
Just everywhere. Unfortunate for him. Back to this battle. They're still in the same area next to each other. Connor James and Christopher Newby. Or no, Zach Nürnberger now. If you see that gap there between Nürnberger and Newby has greatly decreased over the past few laps.
James, actually. Newby's fallen back from James. James is the one that's now on Nürnberger.
Oh, Connor. Yeah, he's catching him. I don't think he'll have him into turn 1, however. It'll be close.
Nürnberger trying to break
Zach into the pits.
Nürnberger's pitting.
As we remember, he pit much earlier.
Yeah. Obviously, he'll make it to the end on this pit. May have needed to for fuel, but he also may not want to give any more tow to Connor James. Now that he had caught up, he's like, hey, you can do this on your own now.
Yeah, he does not want to have a fight. That's just going to lose him time. He says, I'm on this different strategy. I can pit. And it's working out very well for him right now. Here's Nick Paletti, followed very closely by Antoine DeCache.
We missed. There was Langenberg was caught up in an incident. Oh man, PG Christensen got in the grass going into the dogleg, collided with Tyler Langenberg, and that's why he now has that 7-second gap.
Let's take a look at that.
Nothing he could do.
We watched PG Christensen go off track.
And a bit of an unsafe rejoin there too, a little bit.
We saw this, and I clicked away. I figured, oh, that's just the incident. He goes off a little bit there, but he comes back on.
His other incident, he purposely went through the tires in the bus stop. He's probably got a meatball, and he didn't want a chance trying to take it through that chicane.
Oh, he just straight turned into Steven there, actually, or Tyler.
You were just talking. He got into the grass on the right side, probably just trying to let Tyler by, and ended up just swinging to the left. But you were just asking. You just wanted you made it happen. You wanted the leaders to wreck, and unfortunately, you cursed Tyler Langenberg. Apparently,
the good old commentator's curse. Here we see Connor James and Christopher Newby back at it again, going into turn 1.
Wow, that is close.
Not much gonna happen though. They're gonna maintain position. These two
Taking the
crashed.
same line.
These two crashed into each other. Not 20 laps ago. And I'm sure.
Yeah, and that one was just a little bit of a racing incident. That one. So hopefully there's no bad blood between the two.
I'm sure they're just looking to keep it safe for the rest of the race. They probably took their fast repairs in the pit stop just to iron out their cars. And they still have one remaining in case something major happens.
Mark Dillon Jr., he's lurking there. He clearly doesn't have to worry about driver behind him. Foreman is well back. Of course, Nürnberger is net up there. But as far as on the track, Dillon doesn't have to worry about the car behind him, and he just needs to reduce that gap to Newby in front. But he has no draft, so it's probably really frustrating.
It is indeed. I'm sure he's wishing that Dennis Diaz would catch up to him quicker and drag him along, because Dennis is fast. However, Mark Dillon Jr. does have a knack for showing up and just putting in insane lap times and then disappearing. As we see.
Well, yeah, disappearing into the pits usually, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mark Dillon Jr. no longer holds the fastest lap, however. The track cools down, the tires wear off, and the fuel gets lower, and lap times come down. Although those who take tires will have faster times at the end of the race.
As an update for the lead of the race, like I said, when Ryan Tyler got past Langenberg, it was about 5.5 seconds. It's now 6 seconds between Ripley and Tyler. So Ripley's actually continued to pull away, certainly putting himself in the position to be the favorite to win.
He is indeed. Here we see Roger Shank and Gareth McAllister. We saw them fighting earlier. They kind of fell off, but Roger Shank back out in front, looking into turn 1. Gareth McAllister is just going to back off, however. He knows, I need to fuel save. I need to manage this. I'm just gonna stay here.
This one's a bit of a throwback as well. The last season of 2021, back when we had GT3A, GT3B, and the GTEs in there, these were the two guys fighting for wins in almost every race in the GT3B category. And we haven't seen Gareth McAllister, I don't think, since that season. And all of a sudden, they're back fighting each other yet again.
They are. It just shows. I think the broadcast really does bring people back.
Yeah, I mean, people are excited to see themselves. People are excited to see their friends and their significant others, and it's just it's a fun product to put out.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time to just enjoy creating something as well. Me running this, commentating with you, it's just really wonderful.
Getting dark on the track too. It's starting to get more of a spectacle.
Yeah.
Wow, that gap is nothing between James and Newbie, though. They've also been fighting all race long, even getting a little bit of an incident between the two. So we got two pairs that just can't seem to separate themselves.
Yeah, side by side now, going into turn one.
Newbie keeping him on the inside is brave, but
James
didn't
has
quite get it
that
slowed
line.
down enough.
Will he be able to make it up into the inside for the International Horseshoe? That's the place to be.
Try a switchback. He broke early. He might be trying to switch back. We'll see.
I think he's just going to let him have it and try it again in turn one. That is their biggest overtaking spot. It's a heavy braking zone.
It's also the routine they've been doing, them too.
Yeah, it's a heavy braking zone. You're literally flat out for 30 seconds, and then you hit it. So, one of the best overtaking spots on the track, really.
At least currently, these guys are 6th and 7th overall, so they've only got 5 pros in front of them. These guys are really fast. Christopher Newby coming into the season was certainly a driver that was considered possibly a favorite to win the GTD AM. I think he was 4th place in the standings last season, and all of the, Paletti and Claybaugh and Boyle, all the guys that he was competing with have moved up to pro.
Yeah. And we're going to see that develop over this 14-race season. So stick with us. We'll be here every Wednesday night for the next who knows how long, 14 weeks, I guess.
These drivers do have 4 drop weeks as well, ton of drops. So with these drop weeks, just because a driver makes a big mistake in this race, it may not affect them at all. They may use up this as one of their drops and they can still win the championship. Newbie going on the outside, a little bit behind, way deeper on the brakes. This might be too far.
He's gonna take it. It's
yeah,
gonna stay on track.
Close enough to make a move in the International Horseshoe. He's gonna do it
in the inside.
James
That's the place to be.
Gets it done. Another swap of position.
It sounds like James might have had the slightest traction control kick in. Oh, look at him go. He's got the acceleration there, though. Too wide through that flat-out dog leg. These two drivers are very brave.
Really close to losing it there in the grass. But the battle continues.
Battle continues for 30 more minutes. 31 minutes, actually. I think we're going to take a slight break while you guys can watch this, and we will be right back. All right, we are back, and this battle has not gone anywhere. Still, 2/10 is the gap between first and second in the GTD AM class. Out in
Looks
front.
like we took a break, but they didn't.
Exactly. Out in front, Ripley still leads with a 6-second gap, almost 7 now. Insane
Crazy
numbers.
times he's putting in.
And Ryan Tyler has a gap of almost 11 seconds to Paul Skip behind him. We're going to take a look back to Connor and James, or Christopher and Connor. I don't want to leave this battle. It is just
hard to look
so
away.
Close. Yeah, exactly. There's Dennis Diaz.
Oh, he had to give up because of Diaz.
Dennis really throwing a spanner in the works there. I'm sure they're not going to be happy about him showing up, especially because he's not being scored. But ooh, that's going to be terrible for Connor James, as he's going to have to let Dennis go by. So now there's a car separating the two, and he lost time fighting him through turn 1, 2, and 3.
Guess we'll see how much time Newbie loses when Dennis Diaz gets up to him.
It's possible that Dennis will just get past him in the oval, which will be very unfortunate for him.
Oh, Tyler Langenberg, a little bit wide in the International Horseshoe. What a save. Langenberg barely survives that. That was a really good save by him. Any worse, and he may have lost a spot to Boyle from behind.
Paul Boyle still in this race after he had a little incident.
Look at that. It looks like he's rallying out there.
Rallycross driver Steven Langenberg, or Tyler Langenberg, sorry.
He's just trying to show off, I think.
Somebody that is missing tonight is Stephen Thompson. No, he's
Diaz
not.
going
He's
by in the bus stop. Oh, that really hurts Newbie.
Doesn't hurt Newbie as much as it hurt James, however. Looks like they're pretty much back to where they were within the lap. So not a huge problem for either of them. Although I'm sure they would have wished that Dennis was not there to disrupt the flow they had going. James not even going to have a chance into turn 1 this lap. If I was Newbie, I wouldn't waste too much time fighting Dennis. I'd either accept that he's faster and just stay ahead from Newbie, or get past him and stay past him. Looks like he's just
Interested.
gonna
What are we
stay.
looking at time-wise on the pits? Just trying to like figure out where Zachary Nurnberger is coming out. He's currently, last I saw, I think it was it's 30 or 40, or it's like 40 something seconds. Yeah, 44 seconds off the lead. And with his weird pit strategy he's been doing, I just don't know if that's actually fighting for the win or not.
So here's what we see in the pit strategy area. This is only the top 8, however.
Okay, but looking at like a 30-something second stop, so he's not looking at first. Maybe third, though. I think that Foreman is Foreman on the same strategy as them? We haven't really been talking about him, so I don't know if he's just silently made his way into the fight there, or when he's actually done his pits.
Can't really tell. My pit stop will not show us Zachary Nurnberger or anybody other than the top 8, however. I don't know why. I'd love to see Zachary Nurnberger, who pit super early compared to everybody. I want to know what he's up to.
I mean, we got 20 minutes left. We should be seeing the other drivers, or a little bit more. We have 24 minutes left. Probably seeing the drivers pit. I don't think they could go much more than like 10 more minutes. The guys who have stretched the tank.
Yeah, I'd say we're going to see people into the pits with about maybe 10 or 15 minutes left. Speaking of... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I think we have some blinking with the tower there, but the gap between Ripley and Tyler currently 5.6. I'm not sure what happened on that last lap, but when they crossed the line, it was 6.7. So something has happened where Ripley has now lost a second on this lap to Tyler, if I'm not mistaken.
We're looking at the sectors box, although Ryan Tyler does not show up. There we go.
Sector 1. Big
Sector
mistake by
1.
Ripley, I assume.
Patrick Ripley had some sort of problem going on there. This would be... nothing too prominent. He didn't go off track. Just maybe a lockup and he went super deep.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big time loss. I'm looking back here to see if I can figure it out.
This time Ripley
Yeah. He went deep in turn 1 and had to really get on the brakes to not go into the grass. So nothing where he went off track, but had to try to save the car.
Yeah, this time about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 19 minutes into the race, 19 cars remain on the lead lap. That's not a bad number, especially for how big our field is and how long we've been into this race.
Yeah, a lot of drivers, really putting up some impressive races. I do want to call attention to, so there is a safety point bonus. So obviously they get points for how they finish, but there's also a bonus that drivers get for finishing with a low amount of incidents, which are caused from wrecks or going off track. If they finish with 0 incidents, they get 4 extra points, which is quite, I mean, that's like, 2 or 3 positions on the track. And if they have between 1 and 8 incidents, they get 3 points. And you have to be within 1 lap of your class winner. The bus stop chicane, you can easily cut those limits. So looking at the incidents, I mean, we have over half the fields that has already gotten more than those 8. And you get a penalty at 22, and drivers like Aaron Claybaugh, Gareth McAllister, those are at 21. So McAllister and Claybaugh are 2 guys that if they get 1 more incident, they're going to have a drive-through penalty, and that's going to really hurt their race.
Yeah, we can see that on the screen now. Ooh, Richard Curry has an incident. We'll get back to that. Richard Curry into the dog leg, it looks like. No, this is turn 7.
That turn is claimed more than a couple people.
Too much going into it.
Easy rejoin, though.
Yes. So here we see our incidents up on screen. Claybaugh,
All skip with 1.
12 incidents. McAllister, 18 incident points. That's a very big number there.
Oh, correct. I'm sorry. The list I'm looking at it includes the qualifying. So yes, he is 4 off, but that's one car collision away from getting, even a small one car collision away from getting a drive-through.
And you definitely do not want that. Here we see the overall standings and how many everybody has. There's definitely going to be a few people that are not getting safety points tonight. And on top of those extra points that you can get, there is an Ironman bonus. Now we do 4 drop weeks, so you can, like, say you have to go to a kickball game, or your I rating is 3100 and not 2700. You can miss the round with no penalty because it'll just be counted as a drop week. A low score won't be added. But if you join every single race and race every single race, you get the Ironman bonus, which is an extra 5 points for participating in every single race. So that, I mean, it definitely could decide the title. If somebody misses a race and they're fighting for the title, could
Yeah,
be
I
in
mean,
trouble.
we've definitely had multiple titles decided by 5 or less points. No question about that.
One of those was last season with Marcus Osborne and Zachary Nurnberger. They were about 2/10 divided them, and I think the gap was about 1 point at the end of the season.
Yeah, it was a winner takes all is coming into that Glen race.
Yeah, whoever finished ahead would have taken the title, and that was Marcus Osborne. So the point system is very new and fresh, and we're gonna see a interesting title fight at the end. Into the pit lane now, Newbie and James.
Okay, so we're probably looking at all the, like, there is 18 minutes to go. Probably looking at, all the pits happening within the next couple laps. Oh man, he missed the pit box. That's going to be a lot of lost time there.
Yeah, that's gonna give James the position easily.
Easily. I mean, it looked like he even delayed before getting into reverse.
We saw... Oh, but he's taking less fuel. Interesting.
Did James potentially take tires accidentally? He's still in pit lane there.
He could have taken a full tank by accident.
It's possible.
But yeah, that was a 27-second stop from
Yeah, he did not take
James.
tires. The car did not lift up in the pits.
27-second stop from James, a 16-second stop for Christopher Newby. So they're going
How
to be
does that
separated
happen?
by about 10 seconds on track.
Yeah, that must be not having like crew chief like a automatic fuel thing, and maybe it just slipped his mind to with only 17 minutes to go, he may have not realized how little fuel he needed. That's a killer.
He'll be kicking himself. But now Zachary Nurnberger, his fuel strategy is starting to show up. He's back up into net P3 with about 10 seconds separating him from Christopher Newby out in front. So it definitely
James is behind Nurnberger even.
Yeah. Connor James, a big blunder from him there. Very unfortunate.
And he's got Steven Thompson as a gap between him and Nurnberger. I mean, if battle between James and Newby was anything, we may end up getting a similar battle here at the end of the race between James and Nurnberger for the final podium position.
Look at that. Dennis Diaz almost being pushed by Terry Cowger Jr. down the straight, although he is blinking a little bit. It looked like a little bump drafting was happening there, which is not something very common in these GT3 cars because they are so fragile in the front with the aero parts. Interesting, though.
Okay, it looks like I think that Foreman still needs to pit, so he is in the GTD lead. If I'm not mistaken, looking at his lap times here, I think that he still needs to do one pit for just a splash and dash. So actually, Nurnberger and James may both be on the podium right now.
Very, very possible. Looks like Ryan Glover was in the pit lane, but still towed. What happened there? Blinking? I'm not sure.
He may have gone too far past his box. I've actually done that and had to tow in the pit lane.
And had to run out of gas.
Well, I didn't realize my box was like the first one, and I drove past it, and that was like 2 seasons ago, and that was the end of my race.
That as well, but there was a 10-second gap from the time he entered the pits to the time he towed, so definitely possible.
Bizarre. Also, because of how fast pit entry is here, drivers like really getting on the brakes. They may lock it up and spin going into the entrance.
That would be awful. I am a master of spinning in the pits, actually. If we take a flashback to Season 4 of E4A, I was in my best finish position ever of P6, or P3, I mean, with about probably 20 minutes to go. And all night I said, who's going to spin in the pit lane? Who's going to spin in the pit lane? It was me. I spun in the pit lane. And
while you were kind of that story, they actually Nurnberger and James were side by side through the bus stop. Nurnberger comes out victorious and gains a ton of momentum. It looks like Steven Thompson he's not in his own battle with drivers around. Although he does have Matthias Ackridge not that far back, but he doesn't want to ruin this battle here. Probably trying to help out the GTD class a little bit.
James is now into the pits, however, which I'm sure will take a load off of Zach's mind. He's now focused on closing the 11-second gap ahead of him to take that win.
James is still there. Was that potentially Foreman that pit?
Oh, I'm looking at James Foreman. You're looking at Connor James. I'm all
Correct,
messed up
yes.
here.
So yeah, Foreman did have to pit. He was not in the net P1. Still doing well up there. We'll see where he comes out, probably in 5th. But Newby is the driver who pretty confidently, with 13 minutes to go, has a 10-second lead on the duo of Nurnberger and James.
Yes, he does, and it's looking good for him to take the win. 13 minutes, and all he has to do is drive around safely. However, P2 is not guaranteed at all for anybody. James.
So Paletti just came in for his final pit. Man, he was able to take that long. He must have really been saving some fuel.
Yeah, he could have been in that slipstream the whole time. It really does help. If you get an extra lap out of the first stint and an extra lap out of the second stint, you get an extra 2 laps on the other people, which is very interesting, very helpful. But speaking of fuel strategies, Zachary Nurnberger's strategy has worked very well to put him in P2.
Yeah, especially because a lot of the things that he's benefited from have been the other drivers not just making solo mistakes, but getting caught up with other cars. And so him pitting early, maybe he puts himself into some, alone air.
Yeah, but
side by side here.
Here goes Connor into turn 1. He's ahead.
Little tap. Little tap. Nurnberger stays aggressive to keep that position.
Stays aggressive, stays ahead. And he's not going to have the speed to send it up the inside for the international hairpin.
Nurnberger was not having that. He defended that really well.
Yeah, I think he knows there's 11 minutes left. You got to give it everything now. And
yeah, this is not like the start of the race. You got to be feisty.
Yeah, you can really tell the lights are off, the gloves are off. It's nighttime, the track's cold. Everybody's going to be using that to their advantage as much as they can.
Looks like in the GTD field, other than what we're looking at right now, there is a pretty big spread across the field. The GTD Pro is a little bit closer with some guys that are just a few seconds apart. A lot of those GTD AM guys are able to, maybe make a mistake and still hold their position.
Yeah, they are definitely spread out, and the Pro versus AM really holds its name here. The Pros are on top.
Crossing the line last time, Ryan Tyler, was 5.3 seconds back from Patrick Ripley. So it's gone down a little bit, but it's just not coming at the pace that he needs to fight for the win. I mean, we're 5 seconds from now, we're going to get to 10 minutes to go, and he's got to be making up a lot more per lap than what he's been doing.
Yeah, here we go. Connor James on Zach Nurnberger into turn 1. Stephen Thompson behind them, and Terry Calgar Jr. They're all fighting for position against each other, but 2 different classes, 4 cars.
Tracking them out wide.
Looks like
that Mercedes was able to keep going.
James just had a moment of oversteer. He managed to catch it. Not a lot of penalty for that. He's going to go up the inside of the International Horseshoe. Oh, they're so tight. And if you look in the back, it looks like Matthias Ackrich has gotten past Stephen Thompson.
Zach wants the inside here for sure.
Position.
You do not want to let a driver on the inside.
Zach Nurnberger has the right line. Ooh, James just a little bit lighter on the brakes there. But it's all right. Behind Matthias Ackrich and Stephen Thompson, also battling for position. They're just as close as James and Nurnberger. This is a wonderful little
10th and 11th in class.
A wonderful little spot on track here. We'll watch both of them.
Well, Steve, it does seem to be established that the Mercedes has the higher top speed, but right now James has that overspeed. He has to let off. Nurnberger wants the inside. He said he was not letting Connor James go to the inside.
He's
going
to take it, but look at the run he has.
Wow.
He had to back off just a tiny bit for Zach because he was a little slower, but now he's right on the bumper. He's going to have that slipstream the whole way into turn 1. Matthias Ackrich, you can see in that little camera there, looking to go past. But
yeah, this is kind of messing with their battle here.
We got battles, 2 different classes, 2 different positions, but all in the same spot. How could we get so lucky? James,
easy to watch them all.
James driving by on the outside easily, not even a fight from Nurnberger. But Ackrich is ahead of Stephen Thompson right now. In that,
I think that just another update for the lead. I think Ryan Tyler may have been listening to me because he has now cut that gap down to 4.6. So like another second cut off just since the last time I mentioned it. So certainly putting himself, if he's able to make up that much every lap, now all of a sudden he's in it.
Yeah, Ripley blinking a little bit or something, throwing my leaderboard off. I thought that he had some sort of mistake. Stephen Thompson looking for the move into turn 7. He's going to back off, however. Not a lot he can do there. Let's take a look through the eyes of Stephen Thompson now. I do love a great cockpit cam. Shows the wonderful dashboard of the BMW as well. Very colorful. And the only GT3 dashboard that says what type of tires you're on, despite only having one type of tire available. Maybe
Crucial information.
Maybe that'll change when we get rain tires. But for now,
Nürnberger better exit through that.
Yeah,
much better
Nürnberger.
exit.
We see him following Connor James. He's got the slipstream now. This is exactly how they were the last lap. And they're also catching Aaron Clayball ahead. So
not for position.
Not for position, no, but it is for position with Matthias and Steven. So we're going to see if he gets roped into this battle. He could lose 2 spots. As he almost
What is Clayball going
does.
to do here?
Clayball kind of just taking the middle of the track saying, no, I'm not letting you do that. Really disrupting the battle for Zach. Disrupting the battle behind as they have to check up a little bit too. Look at how close these cars are running in the closing stages. Is that Mark Dillon Jr. just on the back that I see here?
He's a little bit back from Stephen Thompson, lurking there to try to get that podium away from Nürnberger or James.
Yeah, if they make any mistake, it's Mark's for the taking. Stephen Thompson looking to go around the outside of Matthias Akrich, but he can't make it work. He's going to have to tuck back in once again into turn 7. Matthias Akrich right on the back of Zach as well. Zach gets a much better exit on Connor James. Is he going to go for it into the bus stop
here?
I think he knows enough to just stick in the slipstream until it's flat. We've seen so many drivers tonight go high to try to overtake in the oval, and it just does not work for them. He's right on the bumper.
Exactly what he was doing.
Bump drafting. Here we go. Into the bus stop. He's going to back off. Just let him go. He knows turn 1's the place to do it.
A little bit late on the gas, actually, but still a good exit.
It is a great exit. We see his
Akrich right on him, though. You can look at that. Look at that rear view mirror there.
Yeah,
that rear cam.
I love that camera there, especially in the Mercedes. It's just great view. We can also see that same type of thing here in the rear gearbox.
Now we've got PG Christensen affecting this battle as well.
Yeah, he's going to back out early. He knows he does not want to intervene. I want to see what happened to Ryan Glover. He had an incident, but I don't want to miss a second of this battle, so we'll stay with it right now. Stephen Thompson.
Less than 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, less than 5 minutes to go. Stephen Thompson around the outside of the International Horseshoe. We've not seen that work yet tonight, and it's not going to work now. But Aaron Clayball leading Connor James up there. They are fighting for overall position, but overall position does not matter for the championship points. So is it in Connor's best interest to get past him and put a buffer, or is it just to stay right on him and keep Zach behind?
As an update, it does look like Patrick Ripley has stemmed the flow on that loss of time that he was having to Tyler. It's now leveled out to a 5-second gap. Ripley, provided he makes no large mistakes, should pull through with the win for today.
Yes, and Christopher Newby as well out in front with a 10-second gap to second place, and all this battling is certainly not helping them. As we see Stephen Thompson really wanting to get past Matthias Akrich, but it's just not going to happen. He really wants that top 10, but it's not finding him right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have battles going all the way down the field, which is great to see, and that's what you get when you have really big fields as well.
Yep, they're everywhere. They're the same class cars. They're not the same class drivers, but they're same class cars, and that really helps. Here we go, 3 wide almost.
Another back marker, Robert Neville back there. At least on my screen, he's blinking. Kind of scare the other. Okay, he backs off.
All
Nürnberg going for a switchback.
sorts of action. Not going to make anything of it. Stephen Thompson getting stuck on the outside, though, on Robert Neville. And Matthias Akrich getting that little bit of help because of that back marker.
Oh, man, they are close. He thought about it. I saw a little bit of a twitch on the inside in the International Horseshoe, but that would have been a send and a half.
Yeah, we are seeing some absolutely amazing racing and amazing drivers tonight.
They've only got a couple more laps, and
Ooh.
we will absolutely be seeing these two drivers fight until the very end. We see
Connor.
lots of close finishes in Daytona. This will be another. Oh, he's
Oh,
sitting
there
on the
he goes.
inside. Left the door
Inside
open.
of turn 7, he's behind Claybaugh. Can he get the exit with Claybaugh there? There, he
Keep
can.
the inside on the banking.
Now,
And
Connor
the draft
James.
from Playball.
Connor James has to go the long way around. That is an extra 25 feet for every
Tucks
foot.
back in.
I don't think that's a real stat, but it's an over-exaggeration. I should figure that out, though, because it is a lot that you lose by taking the high line.
And he wants the inside. And Claybaugh is making this really interesting here. James isn't really able to do what he wants to do with Claybaugh there on the outside.
Claybaugh really wanting to stay ahead of them, because if he loses those two positions, he is right in front of Matthias Akrich, which he does not want to be, because they will be fighting for position, and he can lose his P9. Zachary Nuremberger
is pulling out, though.
looking to go on the outside because it is now flattened out. Looks like he's got it into turn 1. Is he brave? Not brave enough. And looks like
and he's going to lose the position.
But Connor James right up the inside. If Matthias Akrich gets ahead
there for a second.
He's just going to fend off Akrich, but if Akrich gets ahead, then it's going to be awful for both Nuremberger and Steven, because they will have a car buffering them from the guy they want to fight.
In a normal situation, you wouldn't have Claybaugh would probably have let him by, but like you said, Akrich is right back there. He can't afford to lift off and let these guys by. As he just had an oversteer moment, and Connor James just had one. Nuremberger's got a little more momentum.
Oh, what racing. This is amazing. This is going to be coming into the final lap now, as there is 15 seconds left in this race. The drivers will see that white flag, and they're going to fight all the way to the end.
Nuremberger has the draft from Claybaugh. He's on the outside, not the preferred side.
Oh, Akrich almost gets by there. Yeah, Mark Dillon Jr. now, look at him. He's right on the back of Akrich. He's going to get past Steven in the oval most likely. There he goes. Do you think he can pull up and make it and have a little battle on this last lap?
With the way that these drivers are climbing all over each other, it's absolutely possible.
Yeah, I'm sure Mark Dillon Jr. has a great chance here. There's the white flag flying as we can see them going by. Ooh, this is going to be close. Close, close, close. Mark Dillon Jr. right there. Connor James is now way ahead. Ooh, but he goes wide.
James was a little deep.
He goes deep. Oh, my.
Battles started all over again.
I don't think...
He's got to send it.
Oh, he looks for it, but he can't make it. I think at right now...
It's not over yet.
He's looking to make that move into the bus stop. He wants to sit behind into turn 7, take the draft all the way through NASCAR 1 and 2.
Ripley is crossing the line for the win right now, by the way. He gets the checkered flag.
There we go. Checkered flag for Patrick Ripley is our GTD Pro winner. We're going to stay here, however, and we're going to watch the rest of this. Nicholas Paletti and Tyler Langenberg, though, there is a 3/10, 4/10 gap, 5/10 now. Slowing down. He's not going to make it for the end of the race. On to the back stretch through NASCAR.
Akrich right on Nuremberger.
NASCAR
and he has
too.
to be.
Yeah, Nuremberger, I think his plan was to stick on the back and overtake in the bus stop, but it's just not working for him.
Look at those fireworks.
We got fireworks. Are those fireworks for me? Well, we'll find out. Nuremberger really looking to nail that exit.
Oh, he's got the overspeed.
He's got the exit. Aaron Claybaugh causing problems there. Big problems for Connor James. He moves outside. That could be a problem. He's going to be bump drafting Claybaugh all the way to the end. Oh, who's going to come out on top, side by side here?
I don't even know. Who do I even? I don't even. It
looks like James.
Gonna have it.
Looks like James at the moment. It's gonna be James. Claybaugh. Akrich.
Goodness.
Akrich was right there too, looking to make up a few overall positions. Let's take a look at that one more time. What a finish! After an hour and 40 minutes of racing, they were so close at the end.
That's what Daytona brings.
Let's find the good old finish line here.
James made the decision. He decided to go outside and not stick in Claybaugh's draft, and I think that clearly was the right decision. We talked about the different cars and their speeds, and I think the BMW speed is what ended up costing Nürnberger the chance to go to the line there.
Yeah, that is the gap that we saw. It looks like, did Akrich jump Nürnberger at the end? I think he did. Yep.
It was actually 1/1000th of a second between Akrich and Nürnberger. Not for position, but exciting nonetheless.
What a race. We're going to take a look at the results right now. Here's our GTD results. You'll see the points on the side, although those are not the complete points because they get the Ironman bonus and safety rating bonuses, safety point bonuses. Christopher Newby, the GTD winner, followed by Zach Nürnberger. Oh, what happened there? Connor James, did he have a penalty?
He must have. Yeah, he's showing up as 19th overall in the race. Yeah.
Connor James.
This is something we didn't know about.
We didn't know anything about that. Connor James must have had a 40-second penalty. That must be...
It says to me that he has 22 incident. He may have...
There
must have been something on that last lap.
That's a drive-through, and if you don't serve it, it gives you 40 seconds, I believe.
Wow.
Unfortunate. So, Connor James...
I wonder if he knew that. He must have known that coming to the line.
Yeah, despite taking P2 on track, will be demoted to P5. Zach Nürnberger, Mark Dillon Jr., who we saw in that background, he does take the podium, followed by James Foreman, Connor James, Keith Roycroft, Daniel Hingley, Richard Curry, Christopher Craig, Adam Dull, Ryan Glover, Steve Bartlett, Daniel Barnett, Rob Neville, PG Christensen, Daniel Real, Curtis Kelly, Dustin Dos Valles, and I believe that is it for the GTD. In GTD Pro,
yeah.
we
had
well,
actually the winner should be Patrick Ripley. I'm not sure why he's not showing that, but Patrick Ripley with the win. There we go. Followed by Ryan Tyler, Paul Skip, Tyler Langenberg, Nicholas Paletti, Antoine DeCash, Paul Boyle, Brad McCombs, Aaron Claybaugh, and rounding out the top 10, Matthias Akrich, then followed by Stephen Thompson, Terry Cowger Jr., Roger Shank, Gareth McAllister, Sasha Kempter, Marcus Osborne, Bryce Anderson, Don McCloy, and then Will Borland.
Yeah, what a race we had today.
Let's get these guys into the booth and see what they thought about that race.
Yeah, I'll do that. Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with our race winner, Patrick Ripley.
Patrick Ripley. Oh, they're all in the waiting room. All right, here we go. Mr. Patrick, congratulations on taking the overall win tonight. How does it feel?
Appreciate it.
How does it feel to be a race winner?
It's been a while since I've won a race here. Guess couple seasons, but it's nice to be back on that top step.
Yeah, it's great. You and Ryan Tyler were running together really, really close all race. How'd you pull that 6-second gap at the end?
I think he had a hard time getting into his pit box, and when we came out of that first stop, he got stacked up behind Terry and Dennis Diaz, and I think just from there never was able to recover, and those guys had some incidents, and I just kept my foot in it, kept on the pace, and did what we needed to do.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of incidents that happened behind you. Your race was pretty clean. I mean, any mistakes you made were pretty well taken care of. You know, only losing just a little bit. That was a really impressive showing for that race, though. It looked like for sure you and Ryan Tyler were going to be in the contention, but after those incidents, it became pretty clear that he was going to be, or he was not going to be able to catch up to you. So, really impressive win.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I mean, we were trying to work together at the start of the race there to pull a gap, and just unfortunate you got stacked up and wasn't able to make it a race at the end.
Yeah, it was just honestly a perfection from you.
I mean, I missed the fastest lap, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know who did take the fastest lap.
Ryan did.
Ryan took it. All right.
So, anyways, yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for having me here. It's great time to race here. So, a lot of fast guys right now.
It was an
Yeah.
exciting race. We really didn't have any downtime during that race with either class. So great win. You should be proud of it. And I think that you can look forward to a pretty positive season. I know you're going to miss a few races, but this certainly won't be one of your drops.
No, let's hope not. Well, let's hope so. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, then that's a really impressive season.
Yeah, no kidding.
Alrighty.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night. Up next, we're going to speak to P2 in GTD Pro, Ryan Tyler. How are you tonight, Ryan?
I'm doing alright. That was a fun race tonight.
Yeah, we saw you and Patrick both out front, really leading each other until the pit stops came, and you just couldn't catch him at the end. What happened there?
I missed my pit stop. I went a bit too far forward, so I had to reverse back, and then after that I got I think Denny's, Terry, and Tyler, we all got caught up in a little incident in turn 2, and it was like 6 seconds behind Patrick, and could never catch him. That power of the Audi is pretty good. The Mercedes is a lot better in the infield, but the Audi's got the straight line here.
Yeah, I think that's what we expected to see coming in, knowing how that Audi performs. But yeah, at that start of the race, you and Patrick really putting on a clinic. And then, yeah, unfortunately, it was just a little bit of climbing over each other after that pit cycle, which you certainly made out of it better than your competitors did. But, I mean, you certainly weren't falling back. You kept that same gap for the last, like, 50 minutes of the race. So you were putting in hot laps for sure.
Yeah, it was painful, man. I tell you, it's painful. But it's all good. A good race, good for the championship, good way to start off. And like you say, with a couple of the big names having some incidents today, it's going to hopefully help in the long run.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this championship battle, sorts itself out. It looks like it's a really strong field. You're certainly one of the drivers expected to be fighting for the championship. I'm sure that you know that Patrick Ripley may have to miss more than a couple due to work. So you're in a pretty good position for the championship after week 1.
Yeah, so just got to take advantage of it now and see how we do at VIR. Long championship run, guys.
Indeed it is. How comfortable do you feel at VIR? It's a very tricky track. Very technical in some spots.
I think the last time I ran VIR was back in season 2 last year in the GTE, and I remember it was a bit of a nightmare. I don't know. I'll get some laps in this week and have a big practice on Tuesday night and see where we are. Hopefully, the AMG will be a bit more suited than Daytona here. So yeah, should be good. Looking forward to it.
Alrighty. Well, you have a good night now, mister, and you practice for VIR, because we'll be watching.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the broadcast, as always.
Yep, have a
Thank
good
you.
night. Now into the waiting room is none other than Christopher Newby, our winner in GTD Am. Let's bring him in. How's it going, Mr. Christopher Newby?
Very good after that one.
Yeah, that was a wonderful win from you. Almost 10 seconds separated you from the next person in your class. How do you feel?
It made up. I mean, after last year, I felt I was in a really good place to come into this season and try and actually push to go and win this time.
I imagine you had some white knuckles for a good amount of that race. You certainly spent a large amount of that race fighting for position.
Yeah, me and Connor had some fun with the slipstream. He just
Yeah.
seemed to have more straight line speed than I did, but the slipstream would only just give me enough to get alongside him, so I kept having to try and outbrake him into turn 1, but trying to get around the outside's so difficult.
And then you guys were fighting through the entire laps on some of those. It was hard to look away. You guys kept that gap like less than half a second for the majority of that race. You ended up, making it out the victor on that. It was a pretty impressive run by you. How do do you feel like you can continue this momentum onto VIR? Are you familiar with VIR?
No, I've never run it before. I need to buy it first.
Ah,
So yeah, I need to do some practice this next week. But
it's a long track.
yeah, I mean, I know it's similar in nature, so hopefully a bit of practice and see what happens.
Yeah, I think coming into the season, we definitely expected you to be one of the drivers that was fighting for the championship, and Connor is a brand new name now that we know is up there fighting for it. It was a great race by you though, and it's good momentum moving forward for this long championship season.
Yeah, so hopefully I can follow up with more victories and see what happens when we get to the end.
Alrighty. Well, you get to practicing and have a good night, Chris.
You two guys, cheers.
Have a good night.
I have an update. Zachary Nurnberger messaged me. Whatever penalty happened to Connor James, they are ignoring it. So I don't know if it was a mistaken penalty or something like that, an error with iRacing. Connor James is being given the official second place for GTD.
Alright, well, we'll talk to him next and find out what did happen to him. Connor, what
Yeah.
happened at the end of the race there?
I think I just got a little bit air loose there, and I don't know where we ended up on the scoreboard, but it was a hell of a lot of fun racing with him.
Yeah, you,
Did you get a penalty for like the wreck that happened after the line? Is that why the results were weird?
Yeah, I seen that come up at the end, so I mean, I don't know what the series will do about it, but I mean, hopefully I can talk to somebody about it and we can make it through it.
yeah,
I can already confirm you've been confirmed as second place, so
Cool.
that penalty is not counting.
Awesome.
yeah, so that was a great race from you. You had a shot for the win and then got caught up in a little stuff and had a great fight with Zach. What was your strategy trying to fight with Zach? Was it get ahead and run away, or was it sit in the slipstream and capitalize on that?
I think definitely on the last lap it was kind of sit there and catch the draft, come and start finish because originally we were fighting with Christopher Newby there. Him and I had a heck of a battle, and I kind of screwed myself on pit road, taking too much fuel, and it's a newbie thing on my part. I didn't calculate it right, and but yeah, racing with Zach there was a lot of fun, and I mean, there was only one place to go. I had to block his run on the top, or he would have been second, and I would have been third, trapped behind the guy there on the inside like he was. So, but I can't thank him and Christopher for racing me super clean. That was a heck of a lot of fun, and looking forward to coming back.
It was a lot to watch, and the end of that race was so interesting because there was a lot more depth to it than just you and Zach racing each other. You had guys all around you, different laps, different classes, so that was well maneuvered. I think you obviously made the right decision pulling out to the outside of Claybaugh at the very end there. Nurnberger had to stay inside because that was the only other option, and it just didn't have the speed. So a really close finish, but really impressive end for you. I think that it's pretty clear you have the pace to be fighting up there for the win. You and Newbie fought for the majority of that race. Is VIR a track that you're comfortable with going to next week?
Yes and no. I mean, I definitely have some laps there in the official iRacing stuff, but not so much in these cars itself. But I'm fortunate to have a good buddy like Patrick Ripley who won his division, and I'm sure he'll show me the lines around that place, and we'll get some practice in on Tuesday night whenever they have it up, and hopefully we can have another clean, fun race again.
If it gives you any confidence, we just learned that Christopher Newby has never raced VIR, and he has to buy it for next week. So you may have the leg up, and it'll be an exciting season.
I'd love to hear that, man. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, have a good night. All right. Last but not least, our third place in GTDM, none other than Zach Nurnberger. Now that was a race, Zach. Walk us through it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a big run on Connor, and so I guess inside information for those who couldn't see. As soon as I tucked in behind Claybot, because we were all having trouble getting around the outside. I'm sure you guys could see it all day long. You
Absolutely.
out of the bus stop, but getting around the outside, you can get alongside, but just having the inside lane in the turn one, all you had to do is sit on the apron. And so I knew coming into the final corner, my only hope was to just push Aaron Claybot, ironically NASCAR style. And I was so focused on not like taking him out and all crashing, and I got stuck in fifth gear and just didn't realize it until my whole entire dash was red and yelling at me, and got all the warnings. And by that, he just had a clean line around the outside. But I mean, we were beating and banging, and it was a lot of fun. So if I'm gonna lose like that, that was a really good race.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
mean that was a split-second decision that Connor had to make. We'd been talking throughout the whole race that it seemed like the BMW was kind of hurting on top end speed. So it seems like unfortunately you just got stuck behind the wrong car for the end of that.
Yeah, and he admitted he was trying to box me in, and it was smart. But I mean, I don't know. Even if he wasn't there, if I could have gotten around the outside, he could just cut back under. It's even though it was the road course, we got the classic Daytona finish, so to speak. So it was wild, and I'm sure you guys enjoyed it.
yeah, we
Absolutely.
definitely did. Could you talk us through your pit strategy? Because we saw you pit much earlier than anybody else in this race.
Yeah, well, me and Keith were kind of sitting there. I think it was Connor James and Newbie, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
And then me and Keith were kind of just chilling out, and it kind of got to the point where we were hanging in there in slipstream, and then they kind of beat up on each other a little bit. I mean, not really beat up, but they were racing close, losing time, and we just couldn't get around them. So I kind of told Keith, I was like, hey, maybe we just, I mean, at this point, we're not going to get around them. Let's try something a little bit different. I went in early. I think Keith went in a few laps after, and I had a little half spin in the first stint. Still came out 2 seconds ahead of him, so the undercut worked. I think Newbie obviously made it work. He finished, I think, 11 and a half seconds ahead of me. But it put me right there with Connor. So yeah, it was really just kind of trying to let them lose time against each other. Get back, find someone else to draft with. I think I got behind Steven a little bit, Paul Skip, Terry, all teammates, of course. And so that helped me out a little bit. And it worked, but at the end, it kind of equalized on the long field second stop.
Yeah, it was a good run for you. I think we knew a lot coming in about the GTD Pro field, so we knew like probably who some of the protagonists would be. But I feel like we were pretty going in pretty blind for GTD AM. But clearly you've established yourself as somebody that's gonna compete for that championship with your first podium already in the first race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Connor and Christopher Newby proved themselves. Mark has always been fast. He has been the luckiest. But, on his day, Mark is, I think, a faster driver than I am. Keith's really quick. We got some good guys in here. So it'll be an interesting battle. I think this one could go all the way down to the wire. Maybe have some drop weeks come and play.
Yeah, Keith and Dustin Dosvias were two guys that had some incidents that unfortunately kind of took them out of the race. But they'll be right up there with you, Connor, and Christopher Newby, and potentially anyone else who, may have missed this race. But how do you feel about VIR? Is that a track that you have a lot of experience on?
If Marcus is watching this, he'll know all about our last time we went to VIR. It's part of Pony Express lore. So I'll be hoping not to shortcut the oak tree next time out.
Oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy's right. I'm asking for that story. It's one of those tracks where you might get a lot of people that just practice a little bit less than normal or think they can just walk into it. It's not one of those tracks. So I think it's definitely going to be about keeping it clean. It's going to help you a lot more than it normally does. But at some point you can only rely on attrition for so much. The fast guys are fast for a reason. So I haven't ran it a ton since we ran it last, but it's a fun track. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully it's one of those safety first sort of deals can go a long way.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you on that podium again, perhaps on the top step at VIR. So you better get practicing.
You're telling me.
All right. Well, you have a good night, Zach.
Thank you, guys.
And that wraps up our week 1 round of E4A season 6, of course. We took
Couldn't have asked much more from that race. Barely had any time to calm down. I mean, even when we left on a break, the drivers were fighting each other. So this was an awesome race, and it's a good omen for the rest of this season.
Yeah, it is. And I'm going to throw one more little fun fact in there. 80% of the overall winning teams at the Daytona 24 Hours have been American. And before tonight, 80% of the Pony Express Daytona winners have been American. And tonight, neither were. So, just a little fun fact to end the stream with. But we'll be here next week at the same time, at this time in Virginia, heading north from Florida. And we hope to see you and have you join us then.
Looking forward to it.
Any closing words?
Nope, just happy that was a great, clean race. Excitement all the way through the field, all the way to literally to the line.
Yeah, and we're going to look for more. All right. See you next week, everybody.